7, right? Asamyatatmanam yogo dusprap iti me mati vasyatmana tu yatata shakyo avaptum upayata. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead declares that one who does not accept the proper treatment to detach the mind from material engagement can hardly achieve success in self-realization. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. Such a show of yoga may be materially lucrative, but it is useless as far as spiritual realization is concerned. And therefore, one must control the mind by engaging it constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. A Krishna conscious person easily achieves the result of yoga practice without separate endeavor. But a yoga practitioner cannot achieve success without becoming Krishna conscious. Ultimately, they also come to the path of Krishna consciousness in order to become a perfect yogi. But the process is only different. Everybody is on the staircase, the yoga ladder. The lower rungs are called Dhyana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, knowledge. Middle ladder is Dhyana Yoga, that is Ashtanga Yoga, and the topmost is Bhakti Yoga. Of course, Karma Yoga is in the first rung, then Jnana Yoga, then Dhyana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. So, but what is common among all these yogas is you have to control the mind. Otherwise, you're not going to make progress. Of course, the Bhakti Yoga is the most perfect in controlling the mind because he is able to fix on Krishna. So he's so involved. I mean, the mind needs engagement because the nature of the mind is to concentrate on something, meditate on something. So if we are, if we are not engaging the mind, then if you're just sitting quiet, in Jnana Yoga, at least you're reading a lot of things, studying. In Dhyana Yoga, you stop all activities and you are involved in just looking at one point. That is why the difficulty comes because the mind is very, very restless. And even a small agitation can disturb the mind. Like, for example, say, yeah, that is why they go to the forest. So you don't smell any very nice food where you just want to go and hog a lot of it. And then, or, the opposite sex, then you get attracted. So that's why they go to the forest. And in the forest also, if somebody is very successful in controlling the mind and senses, then what happens? Indra Dev and the Devatas, they get a little worried. Oh, maybe you're doing all this to get their position. So they send some apsaras and all that in the middle of the forest. It happens. It really happens. If someone is very successful in yoga, then the Devatas get disturbed. Oh, he's very, very successful in controlling, so maybe he's trying to take my position, and they will send such distractions. On the other hand, but then because they don't have any pleasure at all, they're just trying to control without any pleasure. So then what happens? They easily get disturbed and they deviate. On the other hand, in Bhakti Yoga, what happens? Okay, there may be struggle in the beginning that, we want to think about Krishna, but then something else is pulling us. Materialistic friends are saying, come on, you need this is the age to enjoy. Why you're doing all the time? Why do you want to go to Krishna? Sometimes you also, I mean, this is how they will try. Or even in the family, they might say, this is not the age, you need to enjoy. They'll convince a person who is starting in their Krishna consciousness, they'll try to convince. But if you're associating also with devotees, then then you'll hear the other side of the picture. And you'll think, yes, when I go to the temple, I feel very happy in all these activities. And so, that propels us. No, no, they may say anything, but this happiness I don't get in anything else. They may say I'm wasting my time. There are so many material pleasures for you to enjoy in your youth. They may say all that, but I'm getting a higher happiness here, which I never got through all those things. Just by going to movies or going to restaurants and just enjoying with friends and going on a holiday, all that is fine. But here I'm getting something even far better than that. So that is what will help us to control the mind. But for one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. So we have to try to control the mind. If we just allow the mind to rule over us, very difficult. That's why some people fall away. Some people, if they're not helped in the beginning, if they're not associating with anybody, somebody's not helping them, they just come and go. They feel happy, but then their mind is very distracted. So they just maybe for some time they come and then they go. It's very
దిండుకలు పంపిస్తుంది కదా చూస్తాను ఒక
but
నిమిషం
on the
అట్లా
other hand, but on the other hand, if one is striving to control the mind, especially through chanting, then he's assured of success. That is my opinion. So Krishna is assuring, don't think that because you're struggling now, but if you're doing the right process, definitely there will be success. Krishna is saying that who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. Trying to practice yoga while engaging the mind in material enjoyment is like trying to ignite a fire while pouring water on it. Yoga practice without mental control is a waste of time. Such a show of yoga may be materially lucrative. How is it materially lucrative? Because there are some yoga, um, yoga classes where they don't insist on anything. You can continue to eat meat. You can live your life the way you want. They will not interfere. Just come here and try to do asanas, breathing, and try to meditate. So then people like such yoga societies. Oh, very nice. They can advance in yoga without following any principles. And so they may be very popular and more people may pay more money to join that. So materially, it may be lucrative, but it is useless as far as spiritual realization is concerned. Therefore, one must control the mind by engaging it constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So we avoid certain things in order to serve. There are do's and don'ts. Even in Ashtanga Yoga, there is do's, which is yama. They also have to follow certain things. And one of the things is restriction and food and all those things. And niyama is avoiding certain things. That is also there. And because of following strict discipline like that, then they make progress and then they are able to leave everything and go and sit and meditate in the forest. Therefore, one must control the mind by engaging it constantly in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Unless one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he cannot steadily control the mind. So that's why in the beginning, because we don't have knowledge about Krishna and we don't have any connection with Krishna, we easily, distracted. We may go for 1 week and then next week we may think, oh, today's class, but then that latest film is so nice and all my friends are going, okay, I'll go that, I will avoid that, let me go next week. But the next week something else may come up, and that's where you see Bhakti Vriksha members, you need to call them up and be in touch with them. Otherwise, because they may enjoy the class but then after that what happens, because of they still don't know Krishna fully, and they're not engaged in Krishna conscious activities. So easily they become distracted, right? And just a minute. Okay. Text 37. Arjuna Uvacha Ayati Shraddha Yopeto Yoga Chalita Manasa Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kam Gatim Krishna Gachati. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who, in the beginning, takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism? Purport. The path of self-realization or mysticism is described in the Bhagavad Gita. The basic principle of self-realization is knowledge that the living entity is not this material body, but that he is different from it, and that his happiness is in eternal life, bliss, and knowledge. These are transcendental beyond both body and mind. Self-realization is sought by the path of knowledge, by the practice of the Eightfold System, or by Bhakti Yoga. In each of these processes, one has to realize the constitutional position of the living entity, his relationship with God, and the activities whereby he can re-establish the lost link and achieve the highest perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness. Following any of the above mentioned three methods, one is sure to reach the supreme goal sooner or later. This was asserted by the Lord in the second chapter. Even a little endeavor on the transcendental path offers a great hope for deliverance. Out of these three methods, the path of Bhakti Yoga is especially suitable for this age because it's the most direct method of God realization. But the process of cultivation of knowledge and the practice of Eightfold Yoga system are generally very difficult for this age. Therefore, despite constant endeavor, one may fail for many reasons. First of all, one may not be sufficiently serious about following the process. To pursue the transcendental path is more or less to declare war on the illusory energy. Consequently, whenever a person tries to escape the clutches of the illusory energy, she tries to defeat the practitioner by various allurements. A conditioned soul is already allured by the modes of material energy, and there is every chance of being allured again, even while performing transcendental disciplines. This is called Yoga Chalita Manasa, deviation from the transcendental path. Arjuna is inquisitive to know the results of deviation from the path of self-realization. So that doubt might be there in everyone who starts this. Okay, our people may also try to discourage us. Oh, now you're taking it up. And then later, what if you don't get success in this? Will you not lose here also, there also, spiritually, materially? So that is a doubt. And Arjuna is asking on behalf of us, what will happen to such a person? Because he has not done punya karma also for him to be elevated materially. Spiritually also, he did not complete it. So, uh, um, what will happen to such a person? But in each of these processes, so what is self-realization? Is the knowledge that the living entity is not this material body, but that he is different from it, and that his happiness is in eternal life, bliss, and knowledge. So Karma Yoga gives a little bit that you, of course, here the three processes mentioned are Jnana, Dhyana, and Bhakti. Within Bhakti, Karma Yoga is also included, but because in the beginning, we do work also for maintenance, but we do it with devotion to Krishna. Now, so we have to, all these paths are moving towards that. We're all on the same road. It's not that they are going in different directions. All of us are going in the same road, but they are on different stages. But whatever may be the process we are adopting, if we are progressing, it's a very auspicious path because we are going towards the same destination. Following any of the above mentioned three methods, one is sure to reach the supreme goal sooner or later. So sooner is Bhakti Yogis, later is the other two, but they will also reach finally. This was asserted by the Lord in the second chapter. Even a little endeavor on the transcendental path offers a great hope for deliverance. But in this age, the other two paths are very difficult, right? They may make a show of it. Someone who is able to study all the scriptures, Vedas, and so on. Maybe a few very exceptional people may be able to do that. And general people cannot do that. And dhyana yoga also, that's what you cannot make a show of it. You have to really concentrate, free the mind of all other thoughts and meditate. Initially, just at one point, and then later, because of controlling the mind and senses, you can meditate on the Paramatma, and finally, you can actually see the Paramatma. So, and out of the three methods, the path of Bhakti Yoga is especially suitable for this age because it's the most direct method of God's realization. Actually, many yogis who go to the Himalayas also, then some of them come, to Mayapur. Even now they come, and even during Prabhupada's time, some yogis also joined the movement and became bhaktas. So final destination is this. So to be doubly assured, Arjuna is asking Lord Krishna to confirm his former statement. What was his former statement? That even a little bit of advancement will protect you from the greatest danger. So the greatest danger is slipping out of, this path. And what happens? How will he be protected? So to pursue the transcendental path is more or less to declare war on the illusory energy. So because we're fighting a war, so she is also attacking us, right? Wherever, if we slip up a bit, that's where she'll enter and try to defeat us. It is a war. And that's why, just like the enemy is always watching, what is my enemy's weak points? How can I enter and defeat them? She's watching over us. Any weakness that we maintain, she knows these are the weak points through which I can enter and entrap the mind and make them fall down. That is how Krishna is created, because he wants us to become very, very strong. We have to choose. Krishna wants us to choose. We've got Maya and we've got Krishna, and he is not forcing us. He is giving us the options, and you choose. So that is why when we're not sufficiently strong, we may choose Maya because of her allurements. A conditioned soul is already allured by the modes of material nature, and there's every chance of being allured again, even while performing the transcendental disciplines. This is called Yoga Chalita Manasa, deviation from the transcendental path. And that too for Jnana yogis and Dhyana yogis. They sit alone and do everything. So very, very dangerous. Because if they are, attracted by material energy, Maya, there's nobody to help them. They just fall. Whereas that's why we say in Bhakti Yoga, because Bhakti Yoga is done with devotees. It is all the processes involve glorifying God together. And so even if there is some slight attraction and all that in the beginning stages itself, devotees are there and devotees must help one another. If somebody is sort of slowly deviating, then we must go and preach to them and try to get them back before it's too late. We shouldn't wait for, oh, how will I say, and then we just wait. Somehow, either if you don't feel confident of going and addressing it because you think, oh, they may not like it because who am I? They may think like that. Then you go to a senior and whose words they may accept. And in this way, somehow we try to help. So that is the advantage of Bhakti Yoga also. Kachinno bhaya vibhrishtas chinnabhram iva nashyati apratishto mahabaho vimudo brahmanapati. O mighty armed Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere? Purport. There are two ways to progress. Those who are materialists have no interest in transcendence. Therefore, they are more interested in material advancement by economic development or in promotion to the higher planets where appropriate work. When one takes to the path of transcendence, one has to cease all material activities and sacrifice all forms of so-called material happiness. If the aspiring transcendentalist fails, then he apparently loses both ways. In other words, he can enjoy neither material happiness nor spiritual success. He has no position. He is like a riven cloud. A cloud in the sky sometimes deviates from a small cloud and joins a big one. But if it cannot join a big one, then it's slowly blown away by the wind and becomes a non-entity in the vast sky. The Brahmanapati is the path of transcendental realization through knowing oneself to be spiritual in essence, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, who's manifested as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Lord Krishna is the fullest manifestation of the Supreme Absolute Truth, and therefore, one who is surrendered to the Supreme Person is a successful transcendentalist. To reach this goal of life, through Brahman and Paramatma realization takes many, many births. Bahunam Janmanam Anti. Therefore, the supermost path of transcendental realization is Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, the direct method. So, Arjuna's question is very valid, which most people have. I will neither get material success because I left it halfway and went to a spiritual realization. And here also, I left it. So what's my position? I won't have any stake in a position in either fields. So, so if the aspiring, so if because he has sacrificed material activities, and if he fails in the transcendental path also, then he apparently loses both ways. Not really. That Krishna will explain. Apparently, a person who doesn't know things might think like that. Then why should I, at least materially, I know that I'm going to, even if I can keep trying for my material happiness. But spiritual happiness, I sacrifice material and go there. And then if I don't succeed in that, I lose both ways. But they never think that if I'm materially successful and I don't get spiritual success, then what will happen? Nobody is questioning that because they don't feel the importance. They don't understand how important it is. Spirit, even in Christianity, there is a saying, what profiteth a man if he gets the whole world but loses his soul? So actually, there's no profit. At the end of life, they will think, what did I gain by all this material success? It's all over. At least if I thought of God, at this moment, I really need, I don't know where I'm going to go, my destination. Etanme samshayam Krishna, text 39. Etanme samshayam Krishna, chettum arhasi ashishata, tvad anya samshayasya, chetta nahi upapadyati. This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. Krishna is the perfect knower of past, present, and future. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord said that all living entities existed individually in the past, they exist now in the present, and they continue to retain individual identity in the future, even after liberation from material entanglement. So he's already cleared up the question of the future of the individual living entity. Now, Arjuna wants to know of the future of the unsuccessful transcendentalist. No one is equal to or above Krishna. And certainly, the so-called great sages and philosophers who are at the mercy of material nature cannot equal him. Therefore, the verdict of Krishna is the final and complete answer to all doubts because he knows past, present, and future perfectly, but no one knows him. Krishna and Krishna conscious devotees alone can know what is what. So only Krishna can dispel all our doubts because he knows everything, past, present, and future, what is happening in everyone's life. That's why life itself is a mystery. People don't know why things happen the way they do. Um, no one is equal to or above Krishna, and certainly the so called great sages and philosophers who are at the mercy of material nature cannot equal him. Therefore, the verdict of Krishna is the final and complete answer to all doubts because he knows past, present, and future. And devotees who are surrendered to Krishna, they also know. So, other than these two, we should, only they can give us complete answers. Okay, then next one we'll do tomorrow because it's a long purport. So we see, the spiritual life, it has to be progressive, step by step, with certainty. We should be convinced of what we are doing. We should ask questions. We shouldn't do it blindly, mechanically. Because if you do it blindly and mechanically, when some other thing comes up, somebody comes and raises some issues, then we can easily be disturbed by what they are saying or convinced by what they are saying. For example, the Hindus, they just go mechanically, go to temples, do that. They don't know why I'm doing certain rituals. They don't find out. They don't know who is really the supreme God, what are his pastimes, why does he do that, what's our relationship with with God and the Devatas. They don't know. So they easily victimized by other religions who says, oh, your God, how can a God dance with other people's wives? How can a God steal? And so on. Oh, you have so many gods. And in this way, they think, oh, yeah, it sounds very, bad. No, how can God do such things? They get the doubts. So because they just blindly did without finding out what even is our religion and not knowing Bhagavad Gita is really a sin. It's a crime not to know Bhagavad Gita because this is our Krishna has simplified it so much. This is the essence. It's the Upanishad. It's actually a Upanishad. But Krishna has spoken it very simply for our understanding. If you were try to study Vedas and Upanishads, very, very complicated. They elaborately describe so many things that it's very difficult to get into finally, what is the purpose of life? Just by studying the Shastras, one cannot come to that conclusion at all. And that's why Krishna has taken the essence of the Upanishad. Upanishad itself is an explanation. It's a um, essence of the Vedas because the Vedas are only talking about how to live a material life in the mode of goodness way and so that you'll make spiritual progress. But Upanishads takes us higher level. It takes us to explaining about who we are, that we are spirit soul, and about God, but doesn't describe him completely. It just says God is someone who doesn't have a material form, he doesn't have material senses, like this, very indirectly. But the Gita Upanishad is very direct. Essence of the essence. Essence of Upanishad is in the Gita, tells us how we are Atma and who's Paramatma, what is our relationship with him, what are the methods to progress, all contained within this 700 slokas. So if we don't even know this, then how can we claim ourselves to be practitioners of the Hindu Dharma, Sanatan Dharma? And that is why even when we are practicing Bhakti Yoga, we should be inquisitive to know, why am I doing this? What will the result of be doing this? See how Arjuna is very, very inquisitive. And he's asking Krishna. And Krishna does not discourage that. He's very happy with Arjuna questioning because we should not have even one doubt in our mind about we must be clear about everything that we are doing. Don't ever feel afraid to ask. Even if you think, why should we do this? It doesn't seem right to do it. What is the use of doing such a thing? And then you might think, oh, Maybe if I ask such questions, I might sound like a faithless, atheistic person, so I better keep quiet. No. You see how Arjuna is asking Krishna, what is the use of doing this? Suppose I fail in this, I'll not be materially successful also. This may be a very valid doubt in many people's minds. But then we think, how can I ask those who are practicing transcendental life, going and asking them about material success? Then they may think I'm a bad person. I mean, I'm very materialistic or something, maybe shy. But we must ask everything so that we're very, very clear in our mind why we are doing it, what I will achieve, everything. So then the only thing will remain is how I progress every day, bit by bit. And Bhakti Yoga is a very fast process. Manisha, how to do karma without wanting? Just a minute. Okay.